Hey everybody, welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome, in fact, to PCP Movie Night, the show where we talk about a movie every single week. And tonight we're talking about 1963's Italian cinema classic, 8½, directed by Federico Fellini. Very excited to talk about this movie. You know I'm a fan of Italian cinema, and this is the first Italian movie that we're talking about here on the channel that's not a horror film or a giallo or something like that. But y'all, I've been wanting to put this on the lineup for a long time. This was sent to me by Damien, aka Sleepy Reader 666. So thank you, Damien, for sponsoring this PCP movie night with one of my favorite films from a director I really appreciate. We got some first timers, we got some long timers here tonight, including first timer Brooks. What's up, Brooks?
What's up?
How you doing, man? Live from the Matrix. How is everything over there?
It's all right. You know, the steak is good.
Yeah, the steak is good, right? Speaking of the steak being good, it's our man Verno from Blood Splatter Chatter. What's up, homie?
I like that you came up with that Matrix line between backstage and now. He said he didn't have a joke for it. He came out and he did, so I'm impressed, man. What up? Happy to be here.
Well, thank you. I'm impressed with you being here, and you were aware this was not an Italian horror film, right?
I thought that was Johnny Knoxville on the cover. I thought that was the whole time. I'm like, this is gonna be great. I haven't seen a Johnny Knoxville movie in forever, so no, I knew it wasn't horror. I had no idea what to expect. No idea.
Here's one thing everybody knew what to expect as far as this movie and our coverage of it here on PCP Movie Night. Everybody knew that Joe Corallo would be here. What's up, Joe? How you doing?
I'm doing great because I got the privilege to watch 8½ again. So it's I mean, I cannot wait to talk about this movie.
Yeah, me neither, man. I've been so excited. I watched it with my girl the other day, and I was like, I cannot wait to talk to these people about this movie. I was like, I'm pretty sure Joe's seen it, and I know, and honestly, Joe, I didn't know if this was one you picked because you love it, or if it was one you picked because you hadn't seen it, and this is an excuse to see it, or if this is one you picked just to go against the grain. But I feel like you might actually like this film. So I'm very excited. I'm also very excited to have this man on the panel because honestly, I think this dude's thoughts on cinema, this is what he does best out of everything I've seen. I'm sure he does other things better. He's probably a really good father, if I had to guess. But I'm very excited to have the missing link himself. What's up, Steph? How you doing?
Shit. Thank you. I love the intro. Yeah, happy to be here. I do many things well beyond give thoughts on movies. But yeah, speaking of, Bruno, you reminded me of this. The look of the actor, he reminded me of like an old James Dean. Like if James Dean would have grown up, that's who he would have looked like.
And Johnny Knoxville was like, I'm gonna look like that. That's the look I'm going for.
I remember the first time I watched this film, I thought that was Fellini. And then you look at pictures of Fellini and you're like, oh no. So let's talk about this movie. 8½. I got the Criterion Blu-ray. Thankfully, Damien, like I said, Sleepy Reader 666 sent this to me. Very excited for that. I would say I'm a Fellini fan, but I've only ever seen 2 of his films, right? 8½, and La Dolce Vita, right? So I need to dive more into his filmography. I want to, but I watched 8½, for the first time in the Netflix days, bro, when Netflix sent you DVDs in the mail, right? I was getting into Italian cinema. I was watching Argento and Fulci for the first time, and I had heard about the great Fellini, and everybody told me 8½, is his best film, right? Now, other people disagree with that, but to me, out of the 2 I've seen, I like this one the best, but I love both of the movies I've seen. I want to dive more into his filmography. I definitely do. But when I first watched this movie, I was so into it. It might be the first truly meta film I had ever seen. So we're talking about the DVD in the mail Netflix era. So we're talking about the early 2000s. I'm in my early 20s. I hear Fellini's great. I watch 8.5. I love it. I watch it again a few years later. Love it. I watched it again last year. I rented it from my buddy's video store, Big Mix Video, and loved it. And then I got it sent to me, and I was like, I'm definitely putting this on the lineup in January 2026. In fact, I think I even announced it maybe last January that we were going to do this movie. But I love this movie. I think it dives incredibly deep. I think it's a truly honest film, and I think it's one of the best examples of metafiction in film. And I think it's the one of this and a film called Cinema Paradiso, I think are the perfect films for cinephiles. People that love film, this is a movie that's made for you. On the rewatch, I loved it just as much. I think this movie is incredibly relevant today. I think it's relevant for fans of film. I also think it's relevant for filmmakers, right? I really, really do. The movie has a structure and that is very much uncompromising and very different and very much in your face. It like this movie, a lot of the times we say when the movie is doing things to let you know that it's a movie, it pulls you out of the movie. But this is a film that wants you to be pulled out and know that you're watching the film, right? It's a rarity. There is no other film that I've ever seen that's like this one. I think it's brilliant. I think it's beautiful. I think it's glorious. This movie is basically Fellini's attempt to make a movie about the struggle of making his 8.5 film, right? The movie's called 8.5 because he had done 6 full feature films and a couple short films. So he called those a half films. So this was his 8.5 film, right? So that's the title. I think that's kind of clever. I think it's cool. It's a very honest film. Our main character of Guido is basically a stand-in for Fellini. He's talking about his own insecurities. He's talking about his own background. He's talking about his own mistakes and missteps that he's made in relationships, in his work. This is truly a director laying it all out there for you. And I don't think there are many films like this at all. And I love it. And I'm so excited to see what the panel thinks about this film. I fucking love it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. We're not going to get into a funhouse type situation here because I have the American Film Institute backing me up. This is one of the greatest films of all time. I think it's great. Brooks, first time watch for you. Even in the security of the amazing steak in the Matrix. What did you think about 8.5 on your first watch?
Yeah, like I enjoyed the movie. Like it took like once I figured out what, kind of what it was doing. Like I started like to understand how to enjoy it. It's one of those movies like it's confusing at first. Like even after I finished watching, I was kind of like, like I had to mull. Like it's a movie you have to mull over, in your head. But it is definitely an interesting movie. Like the way it blurs like reality and like cinema. It kind of reminds me of that movie After Hours in that way.
Oh, the Scorsese film.
Yeah,
that's a great
where
film,
like
dude.
it's such a like it's such a bizarre kind of thing. But like you have to understand. You have to understand, what they're going for in it. But yeah, I really did like it. Like it's another black and white movie I enjoyed, much like Dead Man, one of my favorites.
Dude, I'm so glad when you recommended Dead Man. That movie changed my life. I'd never seen that film, man.
Dead Man's a great movie. Yeah.
Dead Man is amazing. So good. So
was
liked
I
it,
on
Brooks?
that talk? I think I was there for that one.
I don't remember if you were or not, man. I really don't. I don't.
If not, we need to
Matt,
do it again. We need to do Dead Man again with Joe Corallo.
Matt says early Netflix reminds me of all those Smallville DVDs my dad got in the mail. All right. Well, Verno, I'm very curious, man, because I know that I think I introduced you to Italian cinema with
For
Demons
sure.
and Demons 2. This is not Lamberto Bava, but
No.
I'm very curious as to what you thought about it overall after you have watched it and thought about it, man. What do you think overall about 8.5?
I love what you said, Brooks. I had to learn how to enjoy it, and that's spot on. Literally, like I said, we said it backstage, but I was halfway through the movie, and don't get me wrong, it's gorgeous. Like I'm not saying I'm like sitting there hating it or anything, but it's super hard to follow. And Link, I was telling you, I get stressed out when I don't know what's going on. I'm like, am I missing something? Am I stupid? Do I need to rewind? And this movie was doing that to me like big time. And I sent you that message halfway through. I said, I'm halfway through 8.5. Am I stupid? Or I have no idea what's going on. Am I stupid? Or fuck, I forget the quote. It was pretty funny.
It was like, am I stupid or is this just how it goes?
Yeah, is this normal? Am I stupid or both? And you said it was normal. And I felt a lot better about it. But
I did want to reply both, but I didn't want to dissuade you. So.
I have always heard, because you're right, you introduced me to Italian cinema, and I always hear about Fellini, like in special features and documentaries. Like I always hear it brought up. I've never seen any of the movies, but in my mind, I've always thought of him as being, before seeing anything, that this guy is like ground zero for what makes Italian horror feel like that and look like that. You know what I mean? So that's what I went into it thinking. And it very much did not disappoint in that because of how crazy style over substance. Actually, that's not true at all because there's a shitload of substance, but just how stylized and how dreamlike it is. Like, oh, I can see why Fulci would do this and how Bava films and Argento films feel like that. But it was so different, so weird. I agree with a lot of what you said. It was hard to enjoy, to be honest with you, the first time. I enjoyed the second half of it better because I stopped and I did like just sit and I watched that video that you sent me, like the first minute of it. I'm like, okay, this is what I figured it was. Like early on in the movie, I think it's a critic that he meets with. And I wrote the quote down. The critic says, the film lacks a central conflict, the film that he's trying to make. And philosophical premise, a series of gratuitous episodes. And instantly I was like, okay, that's what this is going to be. And like, if I'm confused, kind of just go with it. But then it tamed me when I watched a little bit of the explained thing. But overall, especially on a second watch, because I did watch again today, I've appreciated it much more. Like, it was really hard. And I know this is like, to complain about subtitles is not a very filmy thing to do. But the first time watching, there's so much dialogue. And like for me, in my mind, like 90% of it didn't really seem to matter. And I felt like I'm missing out on what is going on because the film is so gorgeous. It felt like I was reading the movie for way too much of it. And it didn't bother me nearly as much on the first watch. But overall, especially on a second viewing, I did rather enjoy it. I get why it's respected so much. I don't know if I love it. You know what I mean? But I definitely respect it. I thought it was gorgeous. One of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that. I love that. I love those thoughts. You know, when I'm watching this movie, by the way, I'm having a conversation with my girlfriend. And I'm like, one of the reasons why I want to learn Italian is to be able to watch these films without the subtitles. Because the visuals are so striking that when you are confused about what's going on and trying to pay attention to the words, the subtitles, it can almost pull you away from the true visual and emotional and guttural impact of this film.
That's exactly what it was. It was like frustrating me. I felt like him, where he's just trying to make this beautiful thing and he's got all these annoying people being annoying. And I felt like I'm just trying to watch this beautiful thing. And I've got all these annoying people annoying him and talking, so I have to read it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like a Fulci or an Argento film where if you miss some dialogue, you go, what did they just say? Oh, it doesn't matter. They're eating somebody's brains right the fuck now. Somebody's puking their guts up. Somebody's splaying blood all over the fucking wall. And the music's intense. And you don't really... But you can definitely see the influence that this has, not just on cinema as a whole, but as you said, even in particular, other Italian genre filmmakers like Argento, like Fulci.
Even
8.5 is basically described as the Citizen Kane of Italian cinema by a lot of people.
Hey,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question before you send it to Joe. And Joe, you might be better equipped to answer this. Are his other films like what are they like compared to this? You know what I mean? Are they
This is very
as
different.
dreamlike and artsy? Okay, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say that the only other film of his I've seen is La Dolce Vita, which is the film he did right before this, and that movie is also very episodic, right? But it's beautiful, and I feel like it has more. But I hear that some of his other films before that have more of a narrative structure, more of your traditional type thing. Maybe a Sergio Leone, who's another Italian filmmaker we love. Maybe a little bit more into that. But what I love is that like this movie, so Fellini, this movie is so meta, right? Because Fellini was asked to do like a sci-fi big budget film, right? And he just couldn't put it together. And that's what this is. The whole premise of the movie, if anybody's never seen it, it's about a director who has a big budget sci-fi movie. They're building the sets. They have all of the parts cast, but there is no script. There is no idea. And he's kind of futzing around the idea that there's no idea yet because he thinks he's going to get it because he wants to make a truly honest high art film, right? And at the same time, appease the commercial desire of the studio and the producer, and it doesn't work out, right? But it does work out for us in a very, to me, profound way. What about you, Joe? You've seen this movie before. I'm sure you got some thoughts. 8.5 overall.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's much better than its sequel, 9 to 5. I think we all agree on that. But no, it's it was a game changer, absolute game changer. To be a film like not just Fellini here specifically with any of his films, but like this movie in particular as well. Try to find me another movie that was the most important movie to both Martin Scorsese and David Lynch. That's like not a thing that happens. Like you don't like that's crazy when you think about the filmographies of those two different directors. If you've ever watched a movie that came out after this, it's riffing on this to some extent. So like the amount of movies that lift scenes directly, like the dancing scene and like all of that from this movie is astronomical. It's insane how much this movie is riffed on, taken from, winning multiple Academy Awards as a foreign film is rare. Because this won for what was it, best foreign film and best costumes.
Yep.
This is a movie that like I think could easily be described as the most colorful black and white film you will ever see.
100. Yeah.
It is. It is episodic, and its structure is, a series of, reality bending into like meta commentary, dreams and all of that, but it is structured so well. It shows you right off the bat, those first, 2-3 minutes, like that whole scene and waking up from the dream, like sets you right up in the beginning to be like, okay, I understand that this is not a movie that's literal. And then, being able to dive in from there. Orson Welles praised Fellini. Like it is hard to imagine cinema without this movie. Like it just is. Like there's no argument to really be made on, because all of your favorite directors are like, yeah, no, Fellini, of course.
Yeah, two in particular, like you said, Martin Scorsese and or like you said, Orson Welles, and also Terry Gilliam. Huge fan.
Terry Gilliam.
He said all of his films are basically inspired by this film.
Yeah, and specifically this film. Yeah, but no, like Terry Gilliam loved it. He got to meet Fellini. So did David Lynch. David Lynch was one of the last people to see Fellini before he died. He got to visit him in the hospital. But yeah, again, one of the few, he won like an honorary, they gave him an honorary Academy Award. I think in like 92 or something like that, for like a lifetime achievement honorary because of all of your contributions to cinema. And they don't do that for a lot of foreign directors. I know they did that for like Kurosawa, but it's like, yeah, I would put Fellini up there with Kurosawa. Like,
he's like the Italian Kurosawa, right?
Yeah,
like for sure. Yeah. He's like the greatest. Like he's like the goat, right? When it comes to that. But, yeah.
No, absolutely. And I would put this. This movie. I also recently so I did see this movie on the big screen and 35 millimeter, just to make sure you all knew. But it was an analog remastering, not even a digital remastering. Just saying. But I also recently saw on the big screen, I've seen it before, but Sunset Boulevard, which is another great movie that's referenced a lot that has to do with like making a movie to some extent. Like
another of Scorsese's favorites too.
Yeah. No, Sunset Boulevard's an incredible film. Again, like if you haven't seen it, don't stress it, guys. I'm not picking that for my Cruz choice, but
you should, man. That would be great.
I should. Yeah, no,
I'm picking it. Shut up. I want to look smart.
No, but like this movie, it's like this fits perfectly with like Ikaru from like Kurosawa. I would put this on a shelf with that and Ingmar Bergman's Persona. Like
I was about to say, there's a lot of comparisons to Bergman's Persona for this.
Yeah,
which I've never seen. I've never seen Persona.
Definitely.
I think Seventh Seal is the only Bergman film I've ever seen. So
I like I love Seventh Seal. I like Persona more. It's
Persona,
such a good
which
movie.
Persona? 3, 4, or 5?
The one where they shoot themselves in the
video game.
But no, it's I'm gonna have so much more to say as we continue, so I'll stop there.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Steph, first time watching, and I know that the first Italian movies you watched were not quite in your wheelhouse. And I understand why.
You're on the far end of the other
By the way,
spectrum.
last week was the anniversary, by the way, of if anybody didn't catch on to it. Last week was the anniversary of our Burial Ground fucking movie review.
No way. Was it really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna have to go revisit
memories or something.
It popped up in my Facebook memories, and I was like, "Oh my god, the death of DHS right there, man! The start of it." What did you think about 8.5, Steph? What do you think?
All right, so, when I started watching this film, I was like, "What did Robbie get me into?" But I gotta say, by the end of this film, my thoughts were, "What did Robbie get me into?" No, I loved it. No, this was a great film. I'll be honest. I was on the fence with Verno, where I was a little confused about what was really going on up until like 40 minutes of the movie, where I knew he was trying to like make a movie, but there was, like Verno said, there's a lot of talking. Not that it's bad, but I was like, all right, where is this going? I get he's building rapport with these characters, but it was like 40 minutes in. But it's like a flashback scene where I don't know if it's a dream. I'm still questioning certain scenes in that movie. I don't know but he's like in an orphanage. But there's like
that's a
memory. Okay.
Yeah.
But
where he's in the wine, where they're like the wine bath and all that shit, right?
Yes.
And,
yes. And they're dunking it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that there was the camera work that really, the camera work was very impressive. To be honest, it reminded me of this film called just the shots. The Girl Who Walks Home at Night. Bruno, we covered something like that. Okay.
Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yes, yes,
that's a good movie.
That was a great movie. But for this to be in like 63, I was really impressed by camera movement and how it was following, zooming in and out, like the tracking it was doing. But the orphanage scene, it's like there's this lady. There's like the composition it was like this lady was like telling, she was on like the left, and she's telling these kids on the right hand of the screen to like go to bed, and it's like the camera starts shifting over, and you see like this body scurry over, and it's like this little, it's like she switches positions because she's on the right and the little kid is like scooted over to the left, and the camera's like, it was just very smooth camera work. I was like really impressed. Like I was like, damn, this is 63, man. Like there's certain shots in here that are very timeless and don't feel like they, that I would be, seems like it was filmed today in a lot of ways. But yeah, this is I'm still just internalizing, trying to gestate it. It's a very impressive, absurdist movie. I kind of got the vibe that it was like a dude who was kind of like at like a crux in life or a crisis. Like he's like really stressed out, and it's like, often when you're stressed out, you kind of, it's natural to kind of like reflect, reminisce, and like kind of.
Well, he's kind of going through a midlife crisis, right?
Yes.
Because, like I think one of the first things he says is, "I'm 43."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know how about the rest of y'all, but I'm past 43, and I think I had some of the same ideas when I turned 43. Like, fuck, it's over, brother.
I think I was assuming this guy was like 55, man. I don't like that. I think no, he's only 2 years older than me. That's not
well.
good.
Back then, they aged a lot faster. We got the
smoke and the
longevity
drink
now.
now.
Yeah.
I know that's the problem with me, Joe. Man, like the smoking, the drinking, like
it's
I might
different.
look
It's
like I was
different
goddamn 50
back then.
smoking the drink, man. That's what I'm saying.
They started really early back then. Like they were like 8 years old, knocking it back and shit.
Especially in Italy.
And they didn't moisturize back then. And I know you moisturize, Robbie.
Moisturizing is key, bro.
I was about to say what not Matt Fish is saying. Nobody drank water back then. Like nobody drank water.
Yeah.
They could have died if they drank the water, right? It's like the Middle Ages in the 60s, man. I don't fucking know.
Right.
If only Fellini tried Baja Blast.
But no, I really enjoyed this film. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at first, but it turned out to be a very pleasant surprise, a very welcoming experience.
Fuck yeah, dude. Very excited so far. Like, obviously, I don't think we're having a funhouse situation, which I was worried about, but I'd already prepared myself to not take it in a negative way. This movie's got a great cast, though. The only cast member that I know from this film that worked with Fellini before was the guy that played Guido, because he's in La Dolce Vita, but I'm not familiar with the rest of his films. Damien also just sent me Roma, so I'm very excited to crack into that. Satyricon is one I hear a lot of great things about. I want to watch his entire filmography, to be honest. But there are some great characters, some solid ass performances in this movie. Brooks, what's one you want to highlight?
Oh, the guy. I think the one that stood out for me the most is the guy in the top hat, because like he's one of the creepiest looking dudes. Like, and it's like he's not trying to be creepy. He just has that kind of natural like face. It's very drawn.
I swear to God,
angular.
I thought that was
Joker.
one of the assholes in Children of Paradise. That pretentious ass French film that Joe made us watch.
The Citizen
that
Kane
is
of
awesome,
France.
by the way. We all gave it a 5, I think.
Yeah, like he's like I don't know exactly what he's supposed to be, but like I think it's like he's a good question. There to kind of like ease the tension, but he's also, it makes him more tense because he's such a creepy looking guy, and he's got that grin on his face, like he's earnest, but like it just looks creepy, like the way the shadows are on his face.
Yeah. Do you guys remember Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, it's like his smile. It's like it's supposed to be like reassuring, but it's like menacing.
Dude, you mentioned Powerpuff Girls, Steph. Are you talking about him?
You reminded me of him, giving him vibes. Yes,
yeah, dude, he really did, and he's kind of like mime-like. And I love one of my favorite lines in the whole film is when Guido asks him like how that bit works, where they're like reading minds. He goes, "Well, it's a bit, but it's also kind of true." And I'm like, how ambiguous? Like, this movie is ambiguous, right? Like, dude, that's a super solid role, Brooks.
Yeah, like I think he was the character who like just popped out the most for me. Like, there's a lot of great weird characters in this movie, but he was the one I was kind of like, yeah, that's my first choice.
brother, he gave me Conrad Veidt as the man who laughs kind of vibe,
Yeah.
right? Which is what
Yeah.
inspired Bill Finger and I guess Bob
Joker.
Kane as well, if we want to put his fucking
Yeah.
shit ass name in there.
Yeah.
If like it's kind of inspired them for Joker, right? So he gave me Joker
Yeah.
vibe, man.
Say
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah.
Robinson. Jerry Robinson.
Yeah, Jerry Robinson. Yeah, Jerry Robinson.
Yeah.
Fuck Bob Kane, everybody, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, like real quick, no controversy needed here, but fuck Bob Kane, fuck Stan Lee. Moving on. Verno, what do you think about? I love Stan Lee and I love Bob Kane. Bob
But
Kane
Bob
wore some
Kane,
ass
he
jackets
fuck
back in
Bob
fucking
Kane.
1989. I know that, man.
Stan Lee, though, you know.
I'm just fucking around. I'm way too high right now. Verno, what do you think, man? What's a performance you want to highlight?
That's exactly how I felt when I was watching this movie for the first hour.
Yeah,
I was
I'm way too high for this.
right now, or am I just right? I don't know. I'm not gonna pick her, but I love the wife. I'm just gonna say that I love the wife. I think she might be the best performance, but I love Barbara Steele, man. Like I haven't even seen her in too much. She was in when you introduced me to Italian cinema. Like the first thing I did is like, okay, what's the source? When did it start? And like the internet says Mario Bava's Black Sunday. So that's where I went before I did Fulci and Argento and all that. I watched Black Sunday and she plays a dual role in that. She's like the protagonist and the antagonist. Anyway, she's amazing. And I wish she was in this movie more. She's Gloria. If you remember her, for those that can't think of who the fuck that is, she's the short, dark-haired, super hot chick that's really flamboyant. I just wish she was in the movie more.
The dude that Mario is having his affair with, the very young woman to his like older.
But she likes Guido. She keeps eyeballing Guido, and it's pretty subtle.
And Guido likes her, dude. I think that's why he puts his mistress. He like puts those fucking eyebrows on her because it mimics the ones that she has. Yeah.
She's so, and it's not why I love her, but she's like, I think she might be the sexiest woman in the history of cinema.
She's the most 60s character in the film.
She's amazing. Yeah. And I've never seen her in anything that wasn't, because I guess I did see her in other gothic, but it's usually gothic horror. So I've never seen her like act normal, like especially in the 60s. She's in Shivers, but that's 75 by then. So to see her in her prime, like being a normal, or not normal, but you know what I mean? Not a gothic horror queen. It was great. So I love her.
Hell yeah. Good pick. Good pick. What about you, Joe? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Well, I was actually going to go with Louisa, the wife. Throughout the movie, they do like there's multiple incredible scenes. There's the bedroom scene. There's the dream after he's looking at like his father's grave and his mom starts like kissing him and like transforms into Louisa and just like feeds into all like so there's just so much. She is a character that there's so much said and unsaid with the character.
Yes. And
it's like just so rich. And like, you know, Verna was saying, her performances were fantastic. There's that one bit too towards the end where they're like where they're, you know, is watching the stage and they're like going over some things and she leaves and it matches like the wife leaving on the stage with her leaving like the studio and him going after her and like the dialogue just lines up like perfectly with the.
Are you talking about when they're looking at the screen tests?
Yeah,
dude, that's perfect because she goes, "I'm glad you invited me because you needed an ending." Right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, so profound.
She's so good. You get that Oedipus complex sort of bit in the one dream, which sort of reinforces this like, you know, when he was younger and married her, sort of like was like looking for, you know, someone that was more like his mother. And now that he's like older, that is not like his needs have changed and he's pursuing other, like it was. And then ultimately, you know, again, like his invite her because he needed the ending and she walks away. But the real ending is she stays with him in some capacity. Like it's clear that their marriage is different, but they have that confrontation at the end of like, you know, like take my hand. And, you know, he sort of explains who he is to her. And yeah, she's kind of like, you know, she's not saying like, oh, I'm going to stay with you as your wife in the same capacity. But she's like, you know, like you can sort of teach me how to still be in your life in some way. And it just all flow like she's very she's somehow very shrew while also being sympathetic because of how like nonchalant Guido is about it. So it's like another director, or if this was an American film at the time, would have not been probably brave enough to also have the Guido character come off as so intentionally selfish and being like, hey, I'm on my journey and like I don't really care how it affects the other people in my life, but like, and then he does have this, you know, arc and all of that, but that's for someone who talks about Guido. But her, she does such a great job setting it up early on in the movie, setting up that ending, the scene where it's just, you know, in the bedroom of just like, well, why are you here? Like, why am I here? You know, and he's just like, just straight up like that, just mechanical, like, look, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. I need sleep. But like, it just like trying to like cut it off there and it leading into the argument. It was just very organic. Yeah, but she really helps sell the character of Guido and is basically the primary character that shows you in a very concrete way the character arc that he has.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I agree. She's my favorite character, Louisa.
Yeah.
Like, I love that character. She really does, like you said, inform a lot about Guido. And that ending, man, where he's basically like, yo, I'm a piece of shit. I know I'm a piece of shit. And if you can accept that I'm a piece of shit, I'm going to be a piece of shit, but I'm going to try to do better. Like, that's a very honest thing. That happens in a lot of relationships. Relationships I've been a part of and relationships that I just know because of friends or other things, right? Yeah. Where like nobody's fucking perfect, but nobody expects anybody to be perfect, but we expect us to own up to our mistakes, right? And there is something so stern with her. And in a typical, like, I don't know what, like, you know, you were saying like, if this was in a different director's hands, how would it be done? And like, some people would portray this character very unsympathetic, right? Not relatable, pretty much the bitch of the movie, right? But that's not what we get here. Like, this movie is very honest. Like, as I was saying earlier, like, I think this is a very honest film. I think Louisa is a character that portrays and signifies. That's not a word.
I like it though, man. I loved it.
Yeah, I like that too. Signifies the honesty of the film, the authenticity of the film. Link, what about you? What's a character you want to highlight?
Well, real quick, you just reminded me of something. Something I thought was like a beautiful aspect of the film is like, it's kind of tying in the favorite scenes, but it's not my favorite scene. It's like where he's like having the dream where he's like surrounded by all the women of his life and shit like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought, you know, he used it like, you know, it was reflecting like when people start relationships, they don't intend for there to be an end, you know? So it's like, it's always started with good intentions and well-meaning. And it's like, he even says something to that extent towards the end. But, you know, it was there's a lot of symbolism to reflect on. But, favorite character, not really a character per se, but I think it's a very distinct feature of the movie. The camera work, man. Like, I was really impressed. Like, I really was impressed by
the camera is a character in this film. Like, you're 100% on the nose, man. Hell yeah.
All right, go with that.
What about the camera makes it a character to you, Link?
With it being such an absurdist film, like it invoked the emotions that it's not the best way to say it, but because there's so much like dialogue at points, like it was a lot of the camera work that was kind of like it's like the dialogue was almost exposition and the camera work was like kind of really telling the story, like setting up shots for certain emotion and, you know, prodding things along. But yeah, it set the mood, man. It was really just very It had a flair to it.
Fuck yeah. That's why Link is one of my favorite movie reviewers here on YouTube. Man, y'all love me some good ones. My number one was Louisa, but I mean, I could give a shout out to Mario. I love Mario. His little dance, which is the dance from Pulp Fiction. If anybody picked that
Oh
up.
shit! Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch of fucking shit in this movie that we see in movies we've covered here and movies we all know and love. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So many sequences, so many emotions, so many emotions, so much of this film is in other films that we know and love. Right? So there's that. So I could say Mario, but I'm not. I could easily say Carla, who is the mistress, right? Who the only conversation she wants to have with Guido is about her husband, how much she loves her husband. You should give him a job, right? But there's something about it. And in the commentary on the Blu-ray, on the Criterion edition, on the commentary, somebody quotes Fellini talking about this character, and she's like, she's got to be attractive with a big ass, and she's representing this, but she's representing like the lust desire of Fellini and Guido in the film, right? So then I could say Guido, like honestly, absolutely astonishing in this film is Marcello Mastroianni as Guido.
Yes, sir.
Fucking fantastic, man. Like that performance is amazing, and we already talked about this film being kind of brutally honest and authentic about Fellini himself, right? And what I love about the film is it's a film about a director trying to be so authentically honest that he can't seem to make a commercial movie around that, right? And that's what this movie is. And Guido and that actor Mastroianni's performance is amazing. But y'all, how about the critic Carini in the film? He is amazing. He's the dude who shows up in the very beginning. He's a critic. So when I first watched this movie, I thought he was a screenwriter, right? That Guido had like hired to like help him with the script. No, he is a critic against his own work that he brings in to try to elevate his own work. And he's so pretentious throughout the film. If you think the film is pretentious, no. The critics of the film are the pretentious ones. And that's what Fellini is showing with that character, but also at the same time showing the authentic honesty of that character. That character has true criticisms about Fellini's work, about this film in particular, and also the authenticity of Fellini, aka Guido's reaction to his first set of notes, where he crumples up the paper and throws it in anger. And then what does he do? He sheepishly walks over and picks it back up and unravels it. And like, I fucking love that character. And at the end, he's getting on his nerves so much. In a fantasy, he has everybody hang him. It's ridiculous. But that is Fellini's response to critics, man.
He like safeguards the movie against criticism. He like says it first so that when the critics can't say it, which I like.
Well, does he safeguard it against criticism? Maybe, because it is Fellini admitting.
He's kind of pointing out a lot of the things that the critics would say about this movie. Like,
exactly. It's Fellini saying this is what you're going to say about the movie.
Right.
You're going to say it's got the art house stuff, but all the worst parts of art house, and it's not quite a commercial film, right? So like it's so crazy because when you look at criticism on film, I don't know about y'all, but I follow some movie critics, right? And there are critics I follow that I know love film. They love cinema. There are critics I follow that I know love spectacle, right? And then like, so it's a weird thing, right? In between, like, but I think here at PCP Movie Night, we do both, because last week we talked about the fucking Running Man, and here we are talking about 8.5. Let's talk about style and structure of this film. I love the style of this movie, the black and white, some of the best usage of black and white I've seen. High contrast, very stark black, very bright white, and in a very like movies like Double Indemnity, movies like fucking Citizen Kane, movies like Sunset Boulevard, black and white utilized perfectly, but none with the stark contrast of black and white in this film, right? I love the use of surrealism in this film, that there is no distinction between reality, memory, dream, and fantasy. There's no distinction, right? All of time, whether it's actual or whether it's imagined, all exists at one time. I love that.
Yo, you saying that reminded me of Inception, and the main actor is giving me like James Dean if he got old, and Christopher Nolan vibes for some reason. I don't know why, but like that just reminded me that ties into it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that. You were mentioning the camera as a character link. The camera with this gliding movement that also becomes, Martin Scorsese said, the camera becomes choreography in 8.5, right? The camera is never not moving, right? Mm-hmm. And it's always moving with the characters, with the story, with the setting. I love that. Structure-wise, I think it blends reality, dreams, past, present, future, fantasy. It blends it all together in an incredible way that's paced and structured so well. It moves quickly, right? It's quirky and it's fun. This is a comedy, right? And Fellini apparently had on all of his cameras, on all of his notes, on all of his walls, remember, he had this note like stamped. Remember, this movie is a comedy, right? So it's like we're making a serious film, but we're having fun with it. We're lighthearted about it, and the movie needs to come across as a comedy. And so I love it. I think that that kind of adds to the quickness of the pace. And to me, it never dumbs down for the audience. Like, this is a movie that could over-explain itself, but it doesn't. It doesn't at all, because it knows that people that are going to love this film and respond to this film love film, right? And one more thing I'll say is Guido, to me, what job would I give Guido? Film director. Chill out, man. That's what I would give him, because I feel this is weird when you watch certain movies. Like when I watch Citizen Kane and I say, oh, the character I most relate to is Charles Foster Kane. People are like, what, are you, an asshole? And I'm like, yes. Well, in this one, the character I most relate to is Guido, right? He's got all these complex fucking things in his mind that lead to who he is. And he doesn't use that as an excuse for who he is, but he uses it as an explanation, if that makes sense. Anyway, style and structure, I think, are superb. Brooks, what do you think about style and structure of this film?
Well, like I said, I like the style of this movie. Like, it has a very kind of dreamlike quality to it. And like you say, it's a comedy, and it is like, but it doesn't really feel like just a straight comedy. Really, it's like, it's not as like it's not like a Naked Gun or something like that where it's just a story, but like.
I love that. That's your epitome of comedy is Naked Gun.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I think about when I think about like just super absurd comedies.
Just straight laughs.
But
I would go Young Frankenstein myself, or Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, like Mel Brooks. Yeah, he was good at like that kind of stuff too. But
Leslie Nielsen's classic for comedy. Yeah, that's a good pull though.
Yeah, but like I like the thing about the stuff, like what this movie does is that it's taking a very mundane story about just this guy doing a very mundane thing, but it does it in a very cinematic way. So like it's like it's like simple mundane thing, but like it's so dramatic. It feels so like it has so much more weight just because it's like presented so cinematically. Like this guy's like basically the main thing it seems to be about is like this guy's work. he's focused on this project he really wants to do, like, you know, work thing, but his life keeps bleeding into his work. Like, you know, his mistress, like all of the women in his life keep showing up and distracting him. And, you know, he's trying to deal with it.
I love that because he invites them all, by the way.
Yeah. It's like he makes his own problems. And then he's like confused, like, what the fuck is going on? It's like, you did this, dude.
Indicative
You told
of
her,
life.
go ahead, come out. It's like, yeah, it's like, I think that's like kind of the artist's dilemma is, you know, we make our own problems by, like, you know, sometimes we make our personal lives so dramatic that we forget, like, you know, or we're trying to do something and then the drama comes in and, like, you know, like, oh man, why did I do that? You know?
Dude, I love that bit with Carlo where he's waiting on her on the train and he looks, oh,
yeah.
She didn't
She
show
make
up.
it,
That's
yeah.
great.
And there was a moment where he like looks behind him. I'm like, who are you looking out for? Like, was this a setup, like a punked moment or
Yeah.
something?
And then the very next night, he's like, yo, wife who I'm cheating on, you should show up. You should come to, like, hang out. And then he's like,
Playing the
what
role.
the fuck did I do, man? Like, he's kind of self-destructive, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
A bit.
Any
And it's in
final
black
thoughts
and
on that,
white.
Brooks? I'm sorry.
It's in black and white, so you know it's artsy.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I
If
know.
only it was in green and white, it would be more artsy.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
way to make it better.
What about you, Vernon? What do you think about the style and structure of 8.5?
It's beautiful. You said choreographed, and that's what I wrote in my notes. It's like it's blocking, but it's the cameras. I love shit like this. I love to actually sit in crowded areas, like have kids run around in the backyard at a pool party and film stuff like this. When what comes in camera is all of a sudden the subject, but what this does, like the specific thing that he does a ton in this movie, which I fucking love, is you'll be looking at something in like the middle ground or the foreground, and then something in the foreground will sneak into the camera. And that's like the thing that he keeps going back to over and over. And it's like it's super effective every time. It's usually someone's face really close up.
Yeah,
And
so
a lot
many
of times,
characters appear like this.
dude, that it's surprising. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. One, like he'll put things in the frame that are surprising to you. Like there's a doctor that you follow. I can't even remember the situation. I think there's someone at a bed, and the camera's at the bed, and the camera follows a doctor into the room, and then he comes back to the bed, and in that time, a different doctor has come in and sat at the bed. You're on mute, Link. But
Yeah. My bad. I know that scene you're talking about. Like it was like the tracking, and when the dude was in bed, and it's like it's following one person, but comes back, there's another person in frame, and I love that shot.
It's cool. I don't think of it like that, but he's just trying to, like, surprise you in a way. But we've all mentioned like the dream sequences, but I've seen a lot of dream sequences, a lot of movie, but there's just something like really special about these. Or even also, like, I love that you said that, Brooks, but the like mundane things, the opening scene after the dream sequence has ended, which is amazing. Like the guy float up there on the rope. It's just such a cool visual. But after that, it's just all these people in line. And it's the most cinematic, dramatic thing ever. And nothing is going on. And like there's another scene where he's sitting down. I don't even know who the chick is. That's one thing about this movie. It's like maybe we could cut a few of these characters, combine a few jobs that a couple of them do to keep track of these people.
He was successful, and everyone had a hand out. Is
Right.
what I got from them.
Well, and also being a big time director, you're constantly bombarded,
being pulled in a
Question.
million different ways.
right?
That's
Yeah,
part of
being
the
pulled, right? Yeah, like
when he's
he's
sitting there.
he's at a fucking a retreat, right? He's like a special rich person's hotel where they give you massages. It's like it's not quite a hospital. It's like a mix between a hospital and like a very high class hotel or something like that. And everybody shows up there to start asking about the fucking movie. And that's one of the things when we were talking about the character or the characters popping into the frame with the camera movement. Like it's showing you, to me, like how it feels when like you're being bombarded like that. They're just like they're coming out of fucking
Overwhelmed,
nowhere.
right.
It's overwhelming. Yeah.
I love it so much. The other just thing I wanted to shout out was I think it's the Pope. Is that who he's meeting? Is he meeting the Pope or a cardinal?
The Cardinal.
Okay.
Cardinal,
All right. When he's meeting the
Cardinal's very high up, man.
when it's such a weird, like the way that they have it where there's like a weird window that opens up like a window that would go to a basement or something. The way it enters that way, and then when the scene ends, he leaves through that window. There's something so cool and just like straight. It's just strange. He's trying to do super strange things. But
then the bit that the true meeting happens at the spa in like a hot bath, like the sauna, right, and shit like that. And also, La Dolce Vita got condemned by the church, and Fellini wasn't necessarily a religious man, but he was an Italian man in the 50s and the 60s, and the Catholic Church has a big hold of that culture, especially at that time, right? So, like, I think that him trying to get approval through the character of Guido for his film in this film is him trying to like replicate or acknowledge the effects that the condemnation from the church had on his previous film, if that makes sense.
What was that Coen Brothers film? Came out about like 10 years ago, but it had like Channing Tatum, Josh Brolin, but there was like where he's like, Josh Brolin is like sitting down to make this movie, but he's like invited a rabbi and a Catholic priest, like all these different like congregations of religion, like heads of religion, to like get their input on what's okay to put in their film, like, you know, like so I've there's
Hell Caesar.
Yes, Hell Caesar. Yeah,
love that film, but by the way, very underappreciated Coen Brothers film.
I really like
the dude who played Solo in it, right?
Yep.
What's his name? Like something Aldrich or something like that? Alden something?
Yeah.
Alden Solo.
He was in Weapons.
Yes.
He was in Weapons. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
He needs to give more work.
Dude, honestly, structure-wise, I don't have much to add to it other than what you guys have. It feels like a bunch of scenes. It didn't feel as much like that the second watch, but it does feel like there's not like a lot of connective tissue between scene to scene. And honestly, the first time I watched it, it took me like an hour to realize how big of a plot point the cheating was. You know what I mean? Like the movie, you could say it's a movie about a guy making a movie, but really, it's in a lot of ways, it's a movie about a guy cheating on his wife. And like that's like the biggest plot point that actually gets dealt with like continuously throughout and evolves other than the movie part, I guess. It's easier to understand than what is going on with the movie.
But then the explanation of how his sexual tendencies or ideas started because of the Catholic Church doing its like, what's the word? I can't think of the word right now.
Putting the iron fist down.
Yeah, because of because of the Catholic Church putting the iron fist, the disapproval of the church,
shaming
right?
of
shame, like the shame that was brought to him by his religion at an early age affects the way he approaches his relationships.
Hell yeah! 100%. Shouts to Metal Elf, because I noticed that, like Robbie, you always talk about the sacred or the profane. We've brought it up 100 times, 100 shows. And I've never heard that term other than you saying it. And then to see that actually said in this movie, you merge the sacred or the profane too loosely or whatever. I was like, oh shit. Okay. Maybe that's where Robbie got that.
And that's exactly the entire bit of most of the Italian cinema I have been into, right? Whether Sargento Fulci or Fellini, like that's a very Catholic country, right? Like one of the annoying ass critics or journalists in this film keeps asking Fellini, or Guido, I should say in this case, right? But Guido is a stand-in for Fellini, right? But he keeps asking him, like, would you say that Italy is a Catholic nation? Would you say that, like, he's asking, and there's all the political shit. And that's something that's really crazy how it relates to today, where Fellini was making a statement that if they don't care about your film, they care where you lie on the political line. Right. So that's a big part of it too. Really interesting stuff. Joe, what about you? What do you think about style and structure?
It's fantastic. It's very, I mean, obviously it's oozing with style, but structure wise, this movie, again, in terms of like this movie being successful and lauded by people, is how we got like permission to make movies that play with structure like that. You know, like this is, you don't get, you don't get Eraserhead. Like you don't get Lost Highway without, 8.5. You don't get a lot of scores there. I see a lot of like Taxi Driver, it's like you could just go down the list of the kind of movies, and that's what's so insane about it.
There's a lot of Fellini influence on Mean Streets, for instance.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. I was
a lot of early
mention-
Scorsese. You can see like the influence from this film.
Yeah. He literally watched this movie like it was weeks or months before he shot his first short film. Like it really had a major impact on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is just like, yeah, like the structure and going from the dream, like these are like, it's not the first movie to do this, but it's not the first movie to blend like, is this a dream, is this not a dream? But you could probably make a good compelling argument that this was a movie that took that to another level, that pushed beyond like, oh, it's the reveal is it's a dream or this and that. Like this is a movie that really went that extra mile, executed it, flawlessly. And we're just going to go back and forth between surrealism, a dream, reality. And ultimately, the audience can kind of decide which actually happened and which didn't, because that's not the point of the movie. Like him, like he does shoot himself towards the end of the movie, but then he's back up and then he's making the movie, and it's like,
Inception.
Was that a dream?
Cool.
But was that not a dream? Like, did he die? Did he not die? Was him having that conversation with his wife at the end of "I'm a dirtbag, take me anyway," and her saying that, like, was that a dream? Was that all his best case scenario or not? Or was that the real finale? Did he just wish that he could kill himself and get out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So along those lines, a bit that I love is when his wife goes and talks to the mistress. Because on first watch, I didn't think it was fantasy at all. And it's like, I love it. This is what he wishes. He wants a threesome. Like, that was very cool.
You saw the dream.
Another great character is Rosella, who is his wife's best friend. She might be one of the best characters in the film, honestly. They have like that very honest conversation when everybody else is looking at this giant spaceship they're building.
Oh, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. I love that. See, this is like the way she's backlit.
Yeah.
It's the most epic looking like shot you've ever seen. It's just two people talking. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's and all the different sets, and like going back and like the movie, like structurally, part of it grounds you with location. Like, where they're sitting around and like or in the garden in that like big area with all the chairs, like they keep going back to that. So like structurally, that's like an anchor for the movie is using some of the scenes and stuff. Like it's comforting. It's like, oh, we're back here. I'm familiar with this. And then we'll go out and we'll do some other crazy stuff. But like the movie times it out and is just structured in such a way that it keeps coming back to that location and keeps grounding you and sort of like resetting you as the audience and getting you prepped for the next sort of outlandish scene. So yeah, I would say this is, structured. It's structured so well that and so seamlessly that some people don't know it has a structure.
Yeah.
So.
I love that. Like, it's so good structurally that most people don't realize it has a structure. That's actually perfect. It's perfect.
That always reminds me of Futurama. What was that one episode where he's like talking to the Bender's talking to the binary code god or whatever? He's like, "Well, you're doing it just right. Nobody notices you're doing anything at all."
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, what about you, Link? What do you think about the style and structure of the film?
So style-wise, I mean, I can't glaze the camera work enough, but I'm reminded what something Joe said earlier about this being the most colorful black and white film you've ever seen, and I agree with that. Like, it's very, like, the contrast, it's very distinct. That's before Joe said that, that's just putting words to thoughts. Like I couldn't put a word to it or come up with a term for it until I heard Joe say that, and it's very visual movie for being black and white. So style wise, it's outstanding. Structure wise, the scene that really got me was where it was like I feel like he had just had like some he's either arguing with his wife or a mistress of sorts, and he's like having this flashback to when he's like a kid, and he's it's that gypsy lady, and she gives him the dance and whatever. But to me, it's like I felt like it was like very symbolic of him reflecting on how most of us, at least mine was, our first sexual encounters are very awkward, but they're still exciting. They're very fun. There's an innocence to them. But as we get older, shit becomes way more complicated, way more complex. And
when he's chastised by the church for that.
Yeah,
shit, right?
after that, yeah. So yeah, that's I just thought that was really cool seeing that. Like it could seem like some random fucking scene, because of how they just segued into it. But when you think on it, it really ties in very organically in that to the circumstance of where the character was at in the film. So structure-wise, I got to applaud it as well. I got to say again, it was a very welcome surprise.
Hell yeah. Good to hear. Let's talk about the music real quick. The music score is done by Nino Rota, who did a lot of the Fellini scores. But there's also a lot of non-composed music for the film. A lot of classical music that's utilized. And whether it's the actual score or the other music utilized, it all comes across to me as whimsical and melancholic and chaotic. And to me, that completely represents the internal mind of Fellini, Guido, and the film itself. So I think the music is super solid. Plus, the music is so important. I would dare you to watch this movie again and find a moment where there's no music, right? Because, like I said, the cinematography is choreographed with the movements of the actors. That is also in conjunction with the music. So I think without the music, the movie loses something. The music is a major factor and character in this film. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music in the film?
I like the music in this. Like, I think a thing that this movie does, like I've seen it done in other movies, but this movie does it a lot in particular, is how sometimes the music will jump from the background into the foreground. Like, you'll hear a piano tune, and then the camera will pan out and you'll see like a dude playing a piano. It's like, it's the idea of like, when you listen to a score or soundtrack, usually you just assume that, the characters in the movie aren't hearing it. But then sometimes like they are, sometimes you can actually see like the musicians playing, and like, so it's like the scene is taking place and the characters are hearing the same music that you're hearing.
Or this idea that Metal Elf is talking about, where like you see characters, including Guido in the film, hum the themes of the fucking film, dude. That's crazy, right?
Yeah. It's like it has a couple of like classical tunes I remember too, like Flight of the Valkyries was in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
See,
there was another one too.
What is that? Okay, is that the song at the beginning? Because I was Googling around is that the song that in the
quite
opening
a few?
Flight of the Valkyries is dun 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 dun.
Yeah, Flight of the Valkyries is the kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out, is this stuff from this movie? Is that why this is such a famous thing? That one evidently is not. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of classical compositions put in here because of what they already represent thematically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that kind of music was like used a lot in film back in the day, and like of course Looney Tunes and stuff like that as well.
Right.
This one was like used on repeat though. I'll be honest, like
everywhere.
Every
time anybody's ever made anything chaotic.
A month from now, we're going to be talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey. They do the same thing there,
right?
And Kubrick's reasoning was, I want the movie to feel timeless. So I'm going to pick music that's not contemporary. But this movie does have contemporary music in it. So it does feel of its time, but it also feels timeless because of the music, I think. Brooks, anything else?
No, that's all. Like, it's pretty good solid soundtrack, I'd say.
Verna, what do you think?
Well, okay, let me just specify.
Real quick, Damien, you're here. Thank you, Damien. We're doing this tonight because of you.
666.
Thank you so much.
Mark of the Beast.
Hell yeah. Also, Rosemary's Baby is inspired by this. The dream sequences.
Oh,
directly influenced. Right. So there you go.
Okay, so let me clarify. The opening, the first song that you see while people are in line getting their water, Paris something. Is that original to this? Because from what I was able to Google, it is. You know what I'm talking about? Like the insane song at the beginning of this?
Yeah, I think that's original. I think that's a Rhoda score. Yeah.
It's because I'm like, where have I heard this? And I'm like trying to figure out, like, is this in a lot of movies? And I couldn't find a lot of movies that it was in, but it's in like documentaries. It's in YouTube clips. It's in a lot. It's used like that. Anytime someone's trying to evoke chaos or just like, just wild shit, you hear that. But it's also, and then once I heard it again, or maybe it was one of the other bits of the score, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Yep.
Yep.
I'm like, fucking Pee-wee, that's what it is. It dawned on me finally. I don't know. Is that original to this? I don't know.
No, that's old school music. Yeah.
All right. But either way, it was great.
Classical orchestra.
It was great, dude. It's fucking.
Yeah, when he finds out that his bikes got stolen, right?
Yeah.
That's the music, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the music has a very circus.
They do that too.
The movie and the music has a very circus feel. Like life is a circus, making a movie is a circus. And if you remember in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the bike was stolen because it was chained around a big clown, right? So very circusy. Yeah, it's a very circusy kind of.
I think it's the tune is called Clowns or something of the Clowns. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, I think it might have like the music that fits a movie best, like ever. You know what I mean? Just like what they're going for, they nailed. So the usage of music is top notch. Couldn't be better.
Oh yeah, Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's hard to add to what's already been mentioned, because just the seamless going back and forth with the music. Is it in the movie? Can they hear it? Can they not hear it? Like all of that stuff's great. Obviously, the beginning, the absence of sound in any score in those first several seconds, minute of the movie is. It's beautiful the way it's done. It really sucks you in. Like it immediately gets you being like leaning at me like, what's going on? Like it's just so thoughtfully done.
Oh yeah, and the dream sequence in the car in the tunnel.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like it's done perfectly. And then at the end of the movie, with all the music and setting up, and they let everyone in, and they're coming from up. The set down, so like obviously that can't work. So like, is this has to be like a dream sequence of everyone sort of coming in, and the little boy who's just like leading the charge, which is supposed to be a representation of like finally starting the movie, which is also great, just the structure of it, how like the movie like ends with them like starting to make a movie, but the way the kid is then leading with the music and he's got the flute and everything, and how that's all set up and also has other layered meaning, like it's so good, and you just don't see that level done in movies a lot.
Oh yeah. Link, what do you think about the music?
Real quick, Joe just reminded me. My favorite shot of the movie is something so weird and simple, but it's like when they're showing them the spaceship for the movie, and they're like, it's good. They're going up that stairwell, and it's just that the shot of the fucking stairs, like
like a geometric thing.
Yeah, man, it's very satisfying, visually appealing. But music, yeah, I loved it, man. Until the conversation, I mean, I noticed it, but until we discussed, I didn't notice like the orchestrated music that came into play during certain scenes induced like in a lot of anxiety because it's like they almost turn the music up while he's like talking to a bunch of people, and it's like looking back on it, it's conveying how overwhelming the situation was for him and how bombastic, it's so I really did
Absolutely, dude.
appreciate it
Yeah.
for that. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm having so much fun, dude. I'm so
Is
proud
Metal
of
Elf-
everybody tonight.
Metal Elf, you fucking with me? It's not Beethoven's Fifth. You playing games, Metal
That's
Elf?
not Beethoven's. What are you talking about? That's not Beethoven. What's the Pee Wee Herman music?
I would
don't
have
know. That's-
recognized that, man. Don't fuck
Beethoven's
with me.
Fifth is dun 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 dun. But that's just actually that it could be part of Beethoven's Fifth because those classical scores are like an hour long and we just know the 5-minute bit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it might fucking be. That would be fucking funny. It might be Beethoven. Let's talk about the theme of the movie. I think this movie has a lot of themes, a lot of things to unpack. Some are laid out verbally in the film. Some are underneath the surface. But I'm curious, Brooks, what's this movie speaking to you?
Well, one thing I think this movie's trying to say that I particularly kind of like related to is how frustrating it is to create, to make art, and how life is not conducive to doing that. You have there's so many complications in life. The relationships you have, you got to make sure everybody needs their time. But at the same time, if you're if you're committed to want to make like a really great piece of art that you really care about, you have to kind of put your life aside, in a way. And sometimes it feels like the people you care about can feel not like a burden, but like a distraction from what you're trying to do. I think that's like why a lot of great art doesn't really get made, is because it requires that kind of detachment almost. You have to be able to get in the zone, as it were, to make like a really great piece of art. And it's funny that like this great piece of art this guy made is about how frustrating it is to make a great piece of art. I think that's kind of the most comedic aspect of this movie is just the fact of like what it is. So it's a great thing. It's like a great when you can find like a piece of art that really like gets to you. That kind of resonates, I guess, with you. I guess.
Yeah, I love that. And so I just want to say real quick, Most Dope has made me realize what would make this movie better is if when we hit a major thematic moment, we got dude, that would actually be
do a goblin cut of this movie.
Somebody, I think it was Chill Out Man, mentioned like this movie needs more goblin, but that's true with every movie. But dude, I would love
goblin cuts of every movie ever.
I really do feel like if Fellini made this movie today, he might use Darude's Sandstorm. I'm just saying. But, I think it would work. I honestly, by the way, big fan of Sandstorm here. Verno, what do you think about Sandstorm and what's the themes of this movie speaking to you?
Sandstorm. I hate sand. It gets everywhere. I can't stand it.
Of course,
Is
it coarse?
It's coarse.
I don't know. You guys all look like angels to me right now. That's all I know. All right, dude, there's a lot going on. Honestly, I can tell you, usually I write in my notes and I'll start just jotting down stuff when I think of themes in the movie. And I have 12 different things. I'm not going to bore you guys with all that, but it's just saying there's a lot. There's like so much going on in the film. But what I wanted to say is kind of along the lines of what you were saying, Brooks. But it's like collaboration. To collaborate is a bitch. And like the movies have to be the ultimate form of artistic collaboration. There can't be any more cooks in the kitchen than a major motion picture. And just he's trying to put on display how much of a bitch that must be, being pulled in all sorts of different ways as an individual. And he doesn't really give a shit about, he just wants his dream to be the one that's on screen. And he's getting pulled all these different ways. He has to satisfy these people. But he truly is selfish, which I think probably to be a great director, you would almost have to be. But the other thing I was going to point out is the one of my favorite scenes, we've mentioned it a couple times, his like fantasy of what he wants women to be. Like he's being babied by the women and all that. And another like one of my favorite bits of Luisa's performance, or the actress's performances, goes along with that. And that she's like basically playing dual roles. And I love her in that scene where she's completely opposite of what she was earlier in the movie, like in real life. And to me, that's, you know, it's a lot about, you know, the feminist movement at the time, obviously, and how women are used by Hollywood. And I love the bit about the girl's 26, so she's got to go to the back and she's got to go upstairs.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, not a fan of this
movie. I thought
the
same thing, bro. Same thing. Swear to God. But yeah, it's brilliant, man.
Or it's where I got the idea.
I feel like it maybe
I'll do one better, 25, not 26. Okay.
She looked like a rough 26. When they finally showed her, I was like, somebody lied on their resume.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like 26, huh? I was like, wow.
Again, if he was 43 and that's what it looked like, she could have been 26.
He looked good for a 43 back then, to be honest.
We looked older back in the day, apparently. And dude, what I love is, I love that you mentioned that, because Fellini, like most Italian directors, hell, like most Italian men, was accused of being misogynist, right? And this Guido is Fellini, if nobody's picked that up in this movie, and he's kind of admitting it. And some people think that it's like, this is a male power fantasy. I don't think it comes across in a good way.
Right.
Like, I think that he's honestly admitting that this is how he feels and that it's not right.
Right.
Because these women are more than what he wants them to be. And there's in typical Italian fashion, there's the Madonna and the whore in both of these, right? Like that's kind of what he's doing there. There's the virgin, there's the caretaker, and there's like the whore. And I mean, look at all the gangster films we love, right? And anybody who thinks they don't know Italian cinema, you do. Think about the gangster films. And I know that that's a very compartmentalized version of Italian film and an Italian culture, but it represents a lot that you will see in other Italian cinema, right? And Italian culture and the relationship with women, how women are basically mythological goddess type figures. And at the same time, they're also figures to be used, but there's a difference, right? Like there's a thing in Italian culture, especially in Italian cinema, where women are one or the other on these sides, right? And it's the difference between certain characters, like in his fantasy, right? What his wife, Luisa, is she's dressed in rags, cleaning up after everybody. She's Cinderella. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then and in that fantasy or other things like Carla, for instance, the epitome of just like sexual enticement and shit like that. So I think it's one of the most profound and honest, especially for its time, looks at the view of women in Italian society from an Italian filmmaker. I really do. I really, really fucking do. And people, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, all the time people misunderstand it to me, and they think Fellini's like a womanizer. Look at this bit in 8.5. I'm like, do you not see this as a comedic omission of guilt?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
I was going to say, I love Barbara Steele's role in that scene, because she's there's somebody that says at one point in the background, why did we do this to ourselves? And I feel like she's kind of the representation of women's role in that system that was set up. It's not like, it's not like all men forced women into that role in culture. They played a role in it too. And I think Barbara Steele is that, because she's all like, no, it's cool. And she like loves it. That's the position that they're all in, is taking care of him.
Hell yeah. I love that. Joe, what about you? What's this movie speaking to you?
So this is saying, so the thing I wanted to touch on was how the movie really goes into how your past, present, and future are all happening at once. The movie really makes a point, and it does that in the structure of the film, how everything he's doing is informed by his project right now, his past, and his future. And it's symbolized throughout with, so he is, he's having these flashbacks, his childhood and all that, throughout the movie. But the relationships, like his wife and what happens beyond his wife, like he's already looking for his next relationship, his past sort of relationships, the critic is also like these figures from the past that are in his present constantly, and where he's going to be in the future. And it's all happening at once. And that's life. Life isn't you can never truly live in the present. And he is trying to juggle his past and his future at the same time, because he's having this crisis in part because of where does his life go, from here. He's 43. He's worked on these other projects before, but like your legacy, and like if you care about your legacy is your past and your future, and all of that. So it really, I think, does a great job of just showing that throughout, all the way to the movie ends when they finally start making the movie. So it's like circular in that way, sort of showing that the past and the future are all at once the present. So,
that's cool.
Fucking love what you just said, dude. That's so great. And
Right.
how chaotic is the present when you're also focused on the past and the future. The present, of course, is chaotic, right? Like, it doesn't even, you don't even have to be a filmmaker. This is just life, y'all. You could be a plumber. The same themes apply.
Yeah.
You're thinking about where you were, where you want to go, and all the demands of now, right? That's crazy. Fuck, dude. This is way better than Funhouse. What about you, Link? What do you think about 8.5 and its themes?
What thing that stood out to me the most, acceptance. It wasn't until he kind of like accepted his flaws as an individual was his relationship with his wife able to move forward. Was he able to finally make his movie? Throughout the movie, like he's like thinking of all these different exes and shit, and it's like he's torn as to why it didn't work out. And even one chick says to him like, you don't know how to love. And I think once he was like able to accept, like he was kind of like, because of the shame of the Catholic guilt and stuff, he kind of, he's kind of living under the guise of an illusion of what he thought how he's supposed to present himself to people. And that, I guess that kind of, that's why he's having marital problems. But once he was able to accept that, he's a flawed individual. It starts with the core within him. It's not everyone else around him. Was he able to get some momentum going, and get some, move past? So I think, yes, acceptance was a big core theme.
Hell yeah, dude. I love it. Y'all are all so spot on with all of these themes. But you know that I love alliteration. So the way I would say it is, it's about a crisis of conscience, creativity, and communication. Do you see the C's there? I love alliteration.
Yes.
But I mean, no, what it is this is Fellini dealing with a crisis of conscience. His last film was basically condemned by the Catholic Church and condemned by some critics, even though it's a really great film, but it was I haven't seen some of his other films. So all I know is that Fellini makes interestingly structured narratives in his films, right? But apparently La Dolce Vita was the first time he kind of veered away from that. So he was dealing with, even though he wasn't necessarily a religious person, Italy is a Catholic nation, and he was dealing with a crisis of conscience, not just through the religion, but through what he was doing to his own wife, right? This is a very true and honest admission and acceptance of who he is and what he's done to the people that he supposedly loves, right? It's a crisis of creativity. This dude is expected to make the biggest spectacle out there. And I'm not just talking about the character in the film. I'm talking about Fellini. And he didn't know what to do. So why not make a movie about not knowing what to do as a filmmaker? Wanting to do something so grandiose and epic and artistic, but not knowing how to do that. So it's a movie about a crisis of creativity. It's a movie about a crisis of communication as well. He's not able to communicate to his staff, to his loved ones, to his parents. He's still not over the death of his parents, right? The burial of his father, right? Which you see in other films. Like, you don't like, there's so much stuff that he's not over, and he can't get it out. And Guido, or Fellini, however you want to put it, wants to be very honest with a piece of art. But he has to also grapple with the fact that art is a lie. Art may be honest, brutally so at times, but ultimately art is always a lie, because it's always like an exaggerated form of something, right? And then you got the idea of this. And I think this, to me, is the most profound thing that I pull out of this movie. He tries so hard to find meaning in everything. Why do I act this way? Why do I do this? Why do they act this way? Why do they do this? Why do we have this relationship? I'm trying to find out why. What is the meaning of life? And by the end of the film, he does come to that acceptance, Steph, that you were talking about, right? And to me, it's the acceptance of, it's not up to us to find the meaning. It's up to us to allow the meaning to come to us, right? And that's something I think that he grapples with in this film, the main character and the director. So I think this movie is profound, a crisis of conscience, creativity, and communication, and dealing with honesty in art, even though art in and of itself is a lie. All right, time to rate the film. You out there in the chat, out of 5 possible you digs, what would you rate 8.5 by Federico Fellini? Brooks, kick us off here on the panel.
Well, initially I was thinking I would probably give this movie a 4.5, but like, really, I can't. It's a 5. You know, it's for what it is. Like, it's a perfect movie. Like, you know, I love the themes of this movie. Like, you know, it looks good. Like, you know, it's just an interesting movie. You know, it's like, you know, sometimes, like, you know, you like a simple, fun movie, like, you know, like a Marvel movie or something like that. But like, sometimes you want something a little more deeper. And I think this is a good movie, a movie that does that. You know, it kind of makes you think a little bit. Like, you know, it makes you have to, like, you know, actually use your brain a little bit. So yeah, I'd say it does what it does perfectly. So, you know, I got to give it a 5, man.
This motherfucking conversation just moved Brooks up to a 5, and I could not be more happy. I'm so excited. A 5 from Brooks. What about you, Verno?
I'm going to be real similar, because I'll say I came into it thinking a 4 for me. I mean, I know what it is. I mean, I know like the greatness of it, but I'm trying to give it like my honest, like, how much did I enjoy the film? If I had if I spoke Italian, I would like it more. Just say that, like, honestly, that's a big deal. But the other thing that you just said, Brooks, is like, it's a perfect movie for what it is. And like, you're spot on. Like, he's doing exactly what they try to do. They made the most beautiful movie that you could possibly make. So I'll go a step below, and I'll say a 4.5 for me on this watch. But great film. This is why I love doing your show. And this is why I picked it, because I'd never seen it. I would have went my whole life. I would have never seen this movie for sure, almost for sure. So I'm glad you picked it, Robbie.
Well, next January when we do La Dolce Vita, you're gonna join us, Verno? Is that what's happening here? Is that like? Should I just go ahead and just cement everybody on the panel right now for next January?
I'm done.
I mean, you can for me. I'm good.
I mean, Verno, unless you planning on popping out another baby, dude. I think
we're done after this. Hopefully. Joe, if you have to recommend, like, what's the next one to watch, what would you recommend?
It's
for
La
Fellini?
Dolce Vita.
Yeah, La Dolce Vita. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've
definitely.
only seen 2.
Does he not have like a shit? Does he have a lot of movies or?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
This was his 8.5 film, for instance.
Okay. Yeah.
Hell yeah, 4.5 from Verno. I think that's really, really solid, man. What about you, Joe?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I'm giving this a 5. You know, the cultural impact alone, without everything else, and you know, to like some of what other people are saying, like a 5 doesn't necessarily mean I could watch this any day of the week. Like there are plenty of movies. There are probably more movies than not that are not 5s that I will probably have watched more in my life.
Right.
Sheldon Kumar go to White Castle.
Half baked.
Yeah,
I was gonna say we're on the same page there, like same zone.
No, I mean, yeah, like I will probably at this point in my life when I pass have seen Half Baked more than I have seen 8.5. Like that's just how things are gonna work out. But like you know, but yeah, no, I'm giving this a 5.
Hell yeah. I love that y'all are mentioning Half Baked because I was putting together the April lineup for PCP movie night. I realized that Monday in April is 420.
Bruh.
And I was like, fuck, dude. Half Baked or Up in Smoke? I was like, what?
They're both.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
They're
Half
both-
Baked they're both iconic, right? We've already done
Yeah.
Dazed
Yeah.
and Confused.
That's what I was
Otherwise, it
gonna
would have been
say,
Dazed and
yeah.
Confused. I almost went Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but I was like, that's not a
Ooh,
weed movie.
We gotta like do some acid or some
Yeah,
shit.
maybe like
Yeah, I was like,
Matt
that's not a
said,
weed
Shrooms.
movie. So I
For
went
weed.
with Up in Smoke, and next
Yeah.
time Half Baked. But yeah,
Good to
so
know.
Brilliant.
yeah, good to know. Well, Steph, what about you, Link? What do you think about this film? What do you rate it out of 5 you digs?
So initially, just based off of watching it, just of my surprise and how much I enjoyed it, I was gonna give it like a 4.5. But based on the conversation, I'll go ahead and give that a 5. Yeah, I think it's an iconic movie, man. And the fact, this movie's 60 years old, 60 plus, and here we are having a great conversation about it. I think
Did it
speaks-
feel fresher than most modern movies you've seen?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Maybe outside
yeah.
of Bone Temple.
Great movie. Great movie.
You thought that was fresher?
I thought Bone Temple was fucking awesome. I didn't watch all the
Yeah.
show yet, but I
Yeah.
hope y'all liked it. I
Yeah,
did.
we
No,
loved it,
yeah.
man. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. 5.
Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to be right there with most of the rest of the panel, except for Verna, who gave it a 4.5. I'm going to 5. I think this is a perfect movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It's in my top 10. I fucking love it. 5. So 5 from me, 5 from Brooks, 5 from Link, 5 from Joe, 4.5 from Verno. Verno, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Do you want to reconsider?
I'll give it an 8.5.
All right. That's a PCP average of 4.99999. 69 dudes. Hell yeah. And I think that's perfect. I'm so happy. Thank you all so much. I'm actually kind of happy Jelani's not here. I don't know how he would have felt about this film. He might have drugged that.
I'm
Rating
really
down just a-
curious. Dude, I got to shut up, Metal Elf. He says, "You ever seen 8.5 on weed?" That's the way to see it, man. That's the way to see it.
I've never seen it not on weed.
I've
to
seen
be
8
honest with you,
millimeter
man,
on
but
weed.
That's just me. But thus concludes our movie review of 8.5. Next week, we kick off Sci-Fi Fest, which is an 8-show, month-long celebration of science fiction between me and us over here at PCP Movie Night and our homie Fable over at One Collection Down. 8 shows covering 8 classic sci-fi films. It starts next week on Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time here with The Day the Earth Stood Still. The original one, not the one with Keanu Reeves, y'all. Fuck that movie, man. It's not good. Watch the original. And then on the following Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time is Starship Troopers over at One Collection Down. I will be there. And thus, Sci-Fi Fest continues every Monday and Friday. So the following Monday will be Gattaca here on PCP Movie Night, The Prestige over at One Collection Down, Close Encounters of the Third Kind here on PCP Movie Night, The Abyss over at One Collection Down, and then 2001 A Space Odyssey here on PCP Movie Night, and the grand finale, They Live over at One Collection Down. So lots of exciting stuff, but your homework right now, watch The Day the Earth Stood Still. And if you don't have thoughts about the music on that movie, you did not pay fucking attention. Okay? I'm going to give you a hint. Pay attention to the theremin. There you go. Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts. What you got coming up, homie?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, aside from doing the PCP movie night stuff, I'm doing Go Figure reviews, of course, with Jelani, and we've been taking a little bit of a hiatus, like while he's getting some stuff put together, but we'll eventually get back to it. And also, I'm going to be on Fable's channel soon for The Prestige.
Ooh.
If you want to watch any of them, you have to watch The Prestige.
Well, you've never seen The Prestige, right?
I've never seen The Prestige.
Well, spoilers, it's a science fiction film.
It's Batman versus Wolverine.
That's the biggest fucking spoiler. And I'm like, bro, I even told him, I was like, bro, you really going to pick The Prestige? That's a spoiler. Just calling it Sci-Fi Fest.
That's
anyway,
funny.
Don't think too much about that, Brooks. Everybody go check out Go Figure Reviews and check out Brooks on The Prestige, and he'll be here next week for The Day the Earth Stood Still. What about you, Verno? What you got coming up, bruh?
We're doing Stabathon, baby. We're doing a Scream movie every other week until Scream 7 drops. Then hopefully we're doing that unless the baby comes, and then who knows what we're doing. But hell yeah, man. I love it. I love talking about these movies. So we're on Wes Craven's final film this Thursday, 8 Central Time, Blood Splatter Chatter, which I realize I never say. I always forget to say the channel name. I never fucking mention it.
Check me out.
Blood Splatter Chatter. Yeah, come check me out.
Somebody throw out a link. Somebody throw out a link. I know we got some metal. Do we got some blue wrenches in the chat? I see Verno, you're a blue wrench.
Drop the link.
Throw out a link. Throw out a link.
It's easy to find.
Steph's here too. He's a blue wrench.
I am.
Oh yeah, dude. Very excited, man. Scream 4 is awesome and one of my favorite cold opens of a Scream movie.
Nice. Okay.
Right? I love the multiple openings of that movie.
Yeah.
It cracks me the fuck up, dude. I think that movie rocks, dude. I really do. What about you, Joe? What you got coming up? Final thoughts?
So I have a shorts comic. It's a 6-pager in the Horror Not Hate anthology on Kickstarter right now. It's got like 2 days left to go. It's already funded, so feel free if you want to check that out. It's a pretty disturbing story for me. I was very happy to write it, and boy, I think it's really gonna be a gut punch when people check that out. It's very sad. But it's also horror, like sad horrors in lately, it seems. So yeah, I've got that going on. I've got a few more things that are coming out later this year that I can't wait to talk about. But in the meantime, you can back that, and you can see me here again next week, also talking about The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Hell yeah. I'm very excited, man. It's gonna be a great show.
I
Steph,
love
what you got coming up? Final thoughts?
Yeah, once again, thank you for exposing me to this film. I'll be Stabathon, baby. I'm ready for Scream 4, one of the best of the franchise. And then we move into different territory, some questionable territory, but enjoyable. But and I'm excited for Scream, man.
Hell yeah. All right. Once again, join us next week for the start of Sci-Fi Fest with The Day the Earth Stood Still. I fucking love this movie. Check out Scream 4 over at Verno's channel. You're doing that on Thursday, right? You're not doing it on Friday, right?
No.
Thursday. Okay. Hell yeah. Very excited for that. I'm also doing, right before that, the monthly comic book review is on Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time. So it's a nice double feature night for y'all. We'll be done right before Verno goes live. In fact, I love doing the show on Thursday nights because then I tell everybody we got to be done by fucking 8, man. Okay, we got to be done by 8. No fucking 3-hour show. We're just get in and get out. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, but next week definitely come here and check out The Day the Earth Stood Still from the 50s, directed by Robert Wise, who directed my favorite Star Trek movie, which is Star Trek the Motion Picture. But do not, no matter what you think about that film, don't make that color your opinion on The Day the Earth Stood Still. Love that film. Thank you all so much for being here. We're dipping out. Love you. Final thoughts. I should have got a quote from this movie. I guess I just wanted to do an honest stream. I wanted to do an honest stream tonight. You know, yeah, I really did. Like something that would like something that would make us Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.